And then by the time we're at 87, you're really developing a bit more with style. All of a sudden, we're changing style pretty dramatically on that, but it still remains that legato theme.
That's right. Yes, what starts out as obviously legato in nature and gentler, but with with a little bit of that tension because of the tritone being so prevalent. The character now starts to take on a stronger sense of the first theme's personality, and you start to see it here in 86, 87 with these housetop accent chords. Right. And I'm offsetting the theme at 88 instead of 1. It's now 1, 2, 3. You know, that offset, that adds tension as well. And it's just fun to do, to offset the theme. What was on beat 2 is now on beat 4 and so forth. And then, of course, we are also modulating a lot in this whole section. That's another thing that is very developmental. It's not just the second theme, but it's the second theme constantly modulating. And I take us through a series of modulations. And every time it modulates, something new will happen to the texture. I'll either have the theme on top, now the theme's down in the middle or at the bottom, and the accompaniment goes above it. Right. So it's constant contrapuntal games that I'm playing here. Just invertible counterpoint. What was on bottom is now on top, and vice versa.
And then speaking of inversions, at 96, right. We actually take the legato theme and invert it, right?
That's right. That's this 1.
And then that continues with bump, ba-dum behind it. It's still right. some reminiscence of that.
That's right. The theme and inversion accompanied by just a hint of the march.
And then this whole section starts building, and this is one of my favorite parts of the whole piece, just because there's this sense of something happening here. And we get to 104, and right with the clarinets, where you say "bring out," of course, that rhythm just starts getting shorter and shorter, and starts getting faster and faster and faster, and it really is, as I said, it's sort of like a whip cracking. It's yeah. And of course, it helps that you have a slapstick in there to give us that imagery. But nonetheless, tell us a little bit about this.
Well, you've sort of described it pretty well. It's all about compression. I'm taking the theme, the lyrical theme, and I'm compressing it, giving you more fragmented look at it, and then, of course, it goes into diminution instead of, right, it's the 16th. You get that kind of quality. So it's all about compression, and through the act of compression, I literally have transformed it into a completely new kind of theme.
That's right.
It comes in at 108 here. Ba-da-da, 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 ba-da, ba-da. It's like a new theme, and yet, if you slow what I sang, if you slow it down, it'll be that sort of business happening. So it's all just compressed.
Exactly. And then we get to 116 after the trumpets kind of lead us heroically in there. And 116 feels to me like the saxophone moment of earlier, where we get beep, ba-dum, ba, this sort of trading back and forth, in this case between the trumpets and the high woodwinds.
That's correct. It's a tritone away.
Exactly.
Saxophones.
All right, and then it all comes to a huge pause after a huge moment. And so tell us about 122.
Yes, well, it's a pause, but at 121, it's the kind of pause that's important to talk about. It's not an authentic cadence-like pause. This is sort of a very modern version of a half cadence. It's a comma. It's something that needs to go on. And so I just stop on this comma, this big half cadence, and just give you a reminder of the lyrical theme, but now even at a very slow tempo. So it's something new here as well. This never happened in the piece, this material right. At 122, where it's this slow. And it's just meant to sort of heighten suspense. And there's a tradition behind this. Composers throughout the ages, before they go for their big final main push at the end, will often have a sort of moment of pause where there can be mystery, unanswered questions, and where the audience for a moment says, I wonder which way this is going to go. And that's really the function this serves right here. It sort of asks the question, which way are we going to go now? Mm-hmm. Is it going to build again? Is it going to taper off? We don't know yet. So this is an important 2 bars right here.
And we still really don't know with the flutes.
That's right.
At 124. And then that starts, And then there's this other seemingly easy but difficult section in the low clarinets and bassoons.
Yes.
They're just on 2 and 4 this time.
That's right.
But it feels so much like it should be 1 and 3 that any number of performances I've given, we've started on 2 and 4 and gravitated towards 1 and 3 at times. But that's a really difficult moment. But again, those sort of tritones that are building on one another all the way through that, right?
That's correct. And you're right, there are many times I've conducted this, the flutes who enter at 132, they somehow get wrong-footed
That's
on
right.
the agogic accent because of what the low woodwinds are playing here. And
That's
they'll enter in the
exactly
wrong
right.
beat.
Yes, and I've experienced that many times myself. And so at 136, that question really begins to be answered now, right? We know that you're going to start building into something that's not going away, but more coming at us.
Right.
And we get more of what we had before, but this time in really more condensed form, right?
That's correct. And all the while, and this is something new as well, all the while this mystery is gradually unfolding, you've got something new here, which is a sustained pedal point through this whole section here, which again, that just heightens the sense of mystery that I'm after in this section.
So now tell us, we're kind of back home now at 141. So tell us a little bit about this to the end and how it builds. And
Yeah, well, we are back home, but again, what's different is, look at the timpani here, and look at the marimba. You've got these sustained pedal points that are still there. Look at the timpani all the way across. They're not playing the tritone thing anymore. They're not going B flat to E flat. It's just this B flat pedal. So that's what makes this a little different from earlier in the piece. And it allows me to keep driving this piece forward. There's nothing better than a pedal point to help as a tool for driving something forward and driving the dynamics and also the dramatic quality as well gets driven forward.
And then there's this wonderful moment at 147. And for moments like this, I just want to be a horn player. I wanted to give up the trombone and be a horn because it's almost as if you're saying, okay, if you haven't heard the tritone yet, I'm going to just give it to you one more time as loudly as I can and hit you over the head with it.
Yes. But not only that, but I resolved the tritone. Look at the horns.
That's right.
I have this. Finally resolve it. I'm heading us towards resolution. What I also love about these couple of bars, look at everything that's going on. You've got the pedal point in the low brass. You've got the tritone in the timpani. You've got the sort of horse trotting music in the oboes and saxophones. You've got that little thing happening in the flutes, and you've got the main theme in the brasses. Everything is sort of happening all at once as we're at the end here. I think I just got lucky, for all these things to work together. Sometimes it's partly luck, and I think I got lucky here.
I'm sure there would be some people that would argue against you on that.
But
I'm
you'd
sure
be
there was some
surprised.
skill involved.
You'd be surprised how big luck, how important luck can be, though.
And so now talk us from 153 to the end, because this is again where we start those alternating lines that kind of go back and forth, beam, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, beam, right?
Yes. Well, it's just cadential at this point. The whole piece could have kind of ended right around there, but I just needed to drive home the tonal center and drive home the conclusion of the material here, and that's really what 153 is serving as. And of course, it leads to a retard, which is, to me, it's more, I should have put allargando. If I could redo this, I would say allargando, because what I have in mind is that sort of slowing down, but also intensification, like a giant train coming into the station, slowing down, but also getting more imposing as it slows down, and that's sort of what I'm after here.
And then in the very end, of course, there's this a tempo, which has the bell chord sounds. And you answer the question for me about why I was a trombone player, because then I get to actually do my glissando at full volume and have a lot of fun ripping that off to the end.
That's right. And also, look at all this resolution. I have this. It's all fifths now. The tritones are gone now.
Exactly.
And so it's all kind of gotten resolved to this more traditional fanfare interval of the fifth.
Thank you.
Pleasure.